Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you're ready to take on your next paying clients, I have good news. My free 4 Basics of Client Attraction and How to Stand Out class is live at haileyrowe.com/client-attraction. In the class, you're going to learn the top 2 traits I recommend for most coaches and entrepreneurs if they really want to turn this into a career. You're going to learn how you can build demand for your services and stop getting crickets on your posts. You're going to learn the sales roadmap I used to improve my sales conversion rate and help my clients do the same. And you're going to learn so much more. So go to haileyrowe.com/client-attraction and get your copy of the class today. Hello. Today we're going to talk about storytelling content that converts to clients and how to use content not in a way where you're always posting and you're trying to get as many likes as you can and you're trying to be trendy and keep up with the fads, but really how you can use content to grow your clientele and to resonate with your ideal clients and really resonate deeply with the people you're meant to resonate with, and not necessarily needing a big audience to do that. So our guest today is going to share with us some tips for storytelling. She's an amazing video expert and helping people with being on video, being comfortable on video. And we're going to get started. So here we go. She's coming.
Hi,
Hey there.
Hailey. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really good. I'm in a bit of a different location to when we spoke last time.
Exciting. Where are you at in the world now?
Yeah, I've moved back to Australia, so I'm just here before I want to spend the Christmas and the New Year's period here, and then I'm going to go back to Bali again. So, yeah, a little bit of a change of scenery.
Well, welcome. And many people here watching would probably love that lifestyle of being able to have that flexible lifestyle living where they want to live. So have you introduce yourself, and then we'll go into talking a little bit about storytelling content.
Yeah, so I'm Julia Vogl. I'm obviously Australian, and I have been working as a journalist and presenter for a decade. And about a year ago, I started moving into the coaching space in on-camera confidence coaching, just helping people to really embody their own individuality and their uniqueness when showing up in this powerful modality, which you and I have spoken about before, how it is an amazing way to connect with people, because you're able to really get to know someone through the video as opposed to a photo or a written post or whatever it might be. So yeah, that's my background, and I've just been having such a good time. And like I said, I moved to Bali, and I was living there and working remotely for almost 6 months. And it was just fantastic just to be able to work for myself and see all the things and do all the things in Bali, and really live this lifestyle that I've always wanted, which is one of freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when somebody is starting a business and they're starting to learn how to go on camera, a lot of times they feel like, oh, I don't even know where to start with my content, and I don't know if people would find my life interesting. And so any tips on how does somebody start to determine or pull out what kind of stories would be good to share with their audience that would resonate, but also be intentional and not just kind of like, hey guys, I had some eggs for breakfast this morning,
Well, although we do want to hear about your eggs for breakfast, I completely, understand where people are coming from, especially when this isn't a natural thing to do. I feel like you and we've gotten into this really great routine now where our lives and our businesses are interwoven. And so it makes sense to share those personal elements and those personal stories because it does weave into what we do. But of course,
Oops, I lost you. Your sound. There, you're
I'm
back.
back. I'm back. So yeah, just like anything, just like getting to know getting better at any new skill, of course you need to practice it. And I think there's this really interesting thing right now that when you are building a business and you are utilizing social media to share, all of a sudden you're required to just have this skill of like knowing how to talk on camera, knowing how to market, knowing how to share in these different ways. And actually, like it's a learned skill. So
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, we're required to be these storytellers and these marketers, and in advertising and doing social media management. And it's really interesting that we are now all in this space, finding a way to figure out what to share on a day-to-day basis. And the thing that I say is that is the beauty of the storytelling. It means that you don't always need to know all the time what it is that you're going to be sharing week to week, because story mindset.
Losing connection a little.
There we
You
are.
there?
I'm back, I think. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is getting into the practice of wearing that storyteller's hat so that when you're going through your day-to-day life, you are thinking about things in a storyteller's way. And so that then you can then go ahead and use what's happening in your real life, the real downloads you're having, the real, whether it be good or bad or ugly or whatever, you're then able to bring that to your storytelling. So it's not this constant thing of like, okay, well, I've got to think about what I'm going to talk about this week. You are really connected and actually present in your own life. And that makes storytelling and content creation so much easier because you really are just shedding light on the things that are happening to you and for you, and creating stories through that, because no one can argue with the story. It's your personal experience. There isn't
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be any concern about this is right or wrong, because really it's just the way you're seeing the world and the way you're showing up in the world.
Yeah, I love that. And just for people whose brains work in a very like structured way like mine, I think it's important to talk about maybe the structure of a story. So like for me, and as you said, I love what you said that you can't argue with a story. So a great thing to do in your business, rather than saying how you can do blah blah blah, which sometimes it might sound preachy or whatever, you can always come back to how I went from blank to blank, or my process for doing blank to blank, and how you can too using my framework or my process. But like, I think that's one good thing to think about is give yourself prompts. And I love Gary Vee's quote, document, don't create, or I forgot what he said, like document, don't create, but like as you're going about your day, show what you're doing in your business, show how that ties to how you can help your clients, tell about, hey guys, I just got off a client call and one of the things I'm noticing is blah, blah, blah. They have a struggle with blank, and you can also work through the struggle by doing blah, blah, blah. So I think there's sometimes prompts we have to give ourselves, like how I went from blank to blank, or a big mistake you're seeing your clients make in your day-to-day life, or things like that. But can you tell us a little more about how does somebody who's new to storytelling content structure a story, or, what happened in their life, and share it in a way that is cohesive and not like, I
Yeah.
don't understand the story.
Totally. And because when you're not familiar with doing this, you can get into a trap of rambling, like just filling in the space and then putting in details that aren't actually really important, and that ultimately the viewer doesn't really care about. It might be important to me. I might be telling a story over the dinner table to my mum, and I'm telling every little detail, and she's happy to hear it, right? But then when we are showing up online, people only have an attention span of about 6 seconds. So you really need to capture their attention. And I'm running an online retreat. It's starting next week or the week after, I can't remember. And that's where I'm really going to be going into the structure of a story. But in general, when you're doing this kind of thing, there's two parts to this. Obviously, there's a lot of different stories that you can tell. One can be what you've just described, which is really talking to the experience and showcasing results of in some capacity of your clients, right? But then there's also the importance, in my opinion, to weave in things that don't always have a call to action. It's not always about the selling bit, it's about creating that connection, that know, like, and trust. So people are coming onto your page and they're not only seeing the great work that you're doing, they're seeing the results that your clients are getting. And you may not even be a service provider. Maybe you have a product, maybe you are the face of your own business. So it's a different message, but really tapping into what's important to share to build that connection, rather than thinking I'm going to post this one video and make all these sales. Like, that's coming at it with a different intention. So
right.
to get to answering your question, there are a few different ways. Of course, we always have sort of like the beginning, the middle of an end of a story. We want to see some, like, where you were and where you are now, and this can be micro moments. It doesn't need to be, like some huge thing that's happened in your life. It can be, but it can also be this thing that's just happened in a day when you went to the coffee shop and then you've realized something's happened and it's given you a download. And the other thing I'll say is that when you start thinking in this way and sharing in this way, more content is then created off the back of it. Because, sort of like you've said, you put something out there, then perhaps a client gets a certain result, or maybe it's something went wrong. You learn from that. There's the transformation. There is a point going from point A to point B, and then you can talk to that more. And then the cycle just continues effortlessly.
Yeah. And I think too, sometimes the point of a story, instead of being able, as you said, not every story is going to be like, hey, here's my call to action. But a lot of times our telling our stories opens up, it's like a possibility catalyst. It shows our audience it's possible for them to, it opens their mind to a different mindset shift that maybe they need to have before they even are open to hearing how to work with us. So I think sometimes, like I've shared how when I did my first Facebook lives, I would turn red here and I would have I would be so nervous. And also how I used to get nervous singing and performing at weddings. And I realized that was almost my message was like, that's almost selfish of me because I'm being paid to be performing here. And they're like paying me to be good and be focused on the audience, not myself. And so it really like got me out of my nervousness and, got me practice putting myself out there and blah, blah, blah. But like, the point is, I'm not selling in that story, but the point is someone listening who's afraid of being on camera would be like, wow, okay, interesting. So it is normal to turn red and have your voice quivering. Maybe I can do it. And I've had people tell me, wow, this is actually hilarious. I had one person tell me this. Wow, you going live on video, you mess up sometimes. And that makes me feel confident that I can do it too.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Do it.
Oh my, and that is the relatability piece. It's like you're human, and you are willing to and available to showcase your flaws, and that makes me like you more. That makes me trust you more. You're not trying to hide behind this perfection or this perfect facade. You're real, and because that's the point of all of this. I mean, of course we know what we're doing, but in some respects we're all just fumbling our way through life and just trying to make the best choices. And in my opinion, being as vulnerable as possible builds that connection. And like ultimately storytelling is currency. If you look at it in that way, it's a currency. It is an art. It is a way to connect, to share knowledge. It's how we know who we are, right? It's how we connect with our family members. And ultimately, if you look at anyone who is a pioneer or really iconic or role model or leader, they're using stories.
Yeah.
to share that knowledge and to influence. And I think that it's not even just about like, oh, right, fine, I'll just do this thing that I don't want to do, which is talk on camera. I have so many people like, oh yeah, like I just don't want to do it. And it's like, yeah, but how, if you get asked to do a talk at a conference or a podcast, get invited to do a podcast interview, or even just what we're doing right now, are you saying no because you don't like doing this and that's stopping you from getting your message out? Like, what's more important, your message or you holding on to the fears of this sort of, I'm going to say, speaking in general, public speaking? And it's not to say that it's an invalid thing, but to look at what's really behind it. Because if you're stopping yourself and your heart's racing, but you know that you really should be doing it or want to be doing it, I don't like the word should, but you know, really, really want to be doing something and you know it would progress you, then look at that and work on that thing. And stories are a great way to start, because you're not thinking and fixated on what am I talking about, what am I saying, because the story will be something that's actually happened to you or happened for you, you know. And so it removes this thing of, I need to think of a script.
Yeah.
It becomes more fluid and natural.
Yeah. So what about people who have those fears, who are like, I'm afraid of being vulnerable, or I'm afraid that nobody's even listening to this, so why bother? Or just some of those mindset blocks that come up.
Oh my goodness, I talk about this a little bit, and I know that, you know, you cover some of this as well. It's about so inner soul healing. Thank you so much, ladies, for such info. Thank you so much for being here. I'm just reading some of the comments there. Yeah, I think that, you know, it's really about peeling back the layers of what's beneath it. And I actually just posted a video yesterday about this, so thanks for raising it. It's like, well, what's my relationship with social media? You know, like, do I judge others for showing up? Like, how do I perceive others in this way? Because there's going to be some sort of energetic thing going on there. And yeah, of course, like at the beginning of anything, if I told some friends like, oh, I'm going to do a 400-meter sprint, I highly doubt many of them would show up. I mean, if I started saying, hey, like, I am really, like, this is really important to me, I'm getting better at it, the next minute I'm getting a really good time and it's growing and growing, and then there's a little bit more hype, then people are going to come and support me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, when you're starting off doing something, you may not have all the pieces in place yet. You know, if you have a look at some people who you really admire, if you go back a little while and see some of the things they're doing, you know, it's not, probably not at the level that it is now. There is a huge growth curve when you're first starting all of this stuff. And then all of a sudden it's getting more refined, it's getting more succinct. You're speaking with more brevity, you're speaking with more confidence, your pictures are landing more, and it grows and grows and grows. And so then that credibility and authority piece naturally just happens. And then you are getting more eyeballs on it because you're talking to the right people on the right topics. It's all a trial and error. Like, you can't just jump up one time and expect that it's all just going to go gangbusters and that, you know, 100,000 people are going to start following you. Like, you have to just keep getting better at it over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that analogy you shared with the meter dash or whatever, where you were showing little tidbits along the way, so people were like invested in your success and they now care and want to see the end result, as opposed to if you just dropped one day, hey guys, I'm doing this 400-meter dash, can you come? Like, they weren't, it's like they had no trailer, they had no like promo before. It's just like, oh, what? Like, no, I'm
What?
not
Doing that?
yeah, so that was good. Okay, so when you know, I think consistency is a key thing here, and the way I see it is like content can be kind of 20%, or I mean, for some people it can be your main marketing strategy, content marketing. But for a lot of my clients, it's kind of like it's there to nurture, it's there to help people get to know you better when you're not in front of them face to face in real time. But really what most of it comes down to is relationship building marketing and like local marketing for my clients, and like things where they're actually connecting with people or doing collabs like this and things like that. So I think that we can, even in those interactions, so it doesn't matter if you're talking to a huge crowd or if you're talking to one person, your story is still powerful. Your clients' stories are still powerful. Hearing what somebody else's story is powerful to know what they're, looking to do next with their life and where they've been and what they've tried. So any tips when it comes to maybe asking some powerful questions to either pull out your story or also get clear on, I guess, the story that your ideal clients want to be living, just anything on that?
Yeah. So, as in like, for if someone is trying to figure out what they want to be talking about, what sort of questions they can ask themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, I think this goes back to that social media mindset piece. The deeper you go into this, the more you're going to get out of it. And I think it is a part of, and especially, in the business coaching world, is figuring out what your message is and what are those key pillars of, for me, I look at my values and
Mhm.
I figure out, is this is this consistent with my values, the pillars of my business, and also figuring out in terms of social media, and I'll talk to Instagram specifically. Instagram is officially a video sharing app. That's what they call themselves. And the way that they look at the sort of buckets that they sort of look at content is either, particularly for reels, it's either entertainment, education, or empowerment.
Mhm.
So if you can start to, and this is a practice, it doesn't just happen immediately, it takes time. It's like, how can you look at the stories that you're telling? Because will end up being on autopilot eventually. I mean, I know for you and I know for me for sure, I don't really even do this anymore. I just know that the idea I'm coming up with will fit into one of these buckets and it'll be relevant. That's just because I have self-assurance in it, right? Because I've done it so much. But if you're looking at your stories, you're going, well, is this empowering? Is this educational? Am I offering value in that sense? Or is it entertainment? And that allows you to really showcase your personality using reels, using stories, using a photo in a post. I don't tell people you must only use video, but like I said, the more that you practice this, and look at what those pillars are, the main features of your business and what it is that you're wanting to sort of set yourself apart. If you have any unique selling points, which we all do, right? Because the thing is, the short answer to this question is, what makes me me? What
Yeah.
makes me me that is unique to me? And then how can I showcase that? Um, if you've got something that's really off topic, let's say you like riding motorbikes, okay, but you're, I don't know, maybe you're a fitness coach. You can weave in that's your passion, and you'll be surprised that other people who love motorbike riding and also like fitness, because I'm sure that a lot of people do, that could be a niche for you. So the more you're niching down and the more you're just being truly authentic with the things that you like, because if you create something that's not real, it's not the truth. And eventually you'll get sick of it. So really just going, well, okay, well, what are the things that make me me? And how can I weave those into my stories through the buckets of empowerment, education, and entertainment?
Yes, I love that. Well said. And on the topic of niching down, I gotta say, if you're watching this still during the late November time period, I'm still doing the Black Friday sale for the niche course right now, and there's one more day left. So if you're trying to get clear on your profitable niche, what is your message? How do you determine your content pillars? All that good stuff. That is still available, so you can message me niche course if you need the link. And I definitely want to have you, Julia, share where everybody can stay connected with you, how they can learn about your retreats, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Hailey. So yeah, literally my Instagram. So it's Julia Vogl _. I should be here somewhere in the, you should be able to find me here if you click something. And that's where you can find me. My business is called Talk is Cheap Academy. And yeah, I run programs. I do one-on-one coaching. I run live workshops all around confidence speaking, particularly on camera, and using this effective modality to create impact in your business. And like I was saying before, I am running a really affordable retreat, which is a little bit of a, as you said, a Black Friday deal, end of year deal, which it's 97 Australian dollars, which I don't even know what that would be in US dollars. It's nothing. It's literally probably like 70 US dollars or even cheaper, even more affordable. And that will be running across December and January, 2 weeks apart. So there will be 4 sessions across those 2 months. And the idea of it is to be really fun, playful and fluid, and really embodying not only it's really great what you said about the niche. That's so imperative, right? And then the next step is, how do I implement that niche into my storytelling, getting better across this great time where we've got Christmas and New Year's, and we've got, all these great things that we're doing in our lives. How can we start to practice implementing them, thinking like a storyteller, so that we can kick off 2023 with this mindset? That's why they're strategically positioned a few weeks apart, so you can actually go out into the world and live your life and then implement it into your content.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. And thanks for the great tips today. I love let's leave everybody with the question, what makes you you? And you can put that in the comments, but one thing that makes you you, and let's use that in our content. Let's express ourselves and not just be what everybody's being, which is just the same old content or a empowering quote from, some public figure. Like, let's start sharing us, and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you so much, Hailey, and everyone for joining. And if you'd like to know more about my retreat, it's all over my my Instagram and in my bio link tree, so they can check me out there. But thank you so much for your time. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this podcast. And if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful, and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.